This is TWiT.
If you like your robots mega-sized and battling, then you might be interested to know about Megabots if you didn't know about it already. A full-size realization of the fantasy world many of us have dreamt about with Mech Warrior and all other kinds of sci-fi content of that ilk. Matt Oehrlein is the co-founder of Megabots, and he joins us to talk about the first ever Megabots battle. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Jason.
It's great to have you here. You, by the way, you were on the new Screensavers. I think it was last year, far ahead of the battle that just this week took place. It was on Tuesday. I'm sure a lot evolved from that time to the time of the event a few days ago. What were your biggest concerns going into this mega robot event?
So a lot of concerns about safety, a lot of concerns about logistics. The fight happened in Japan. And so just like getting these large robots across an ocean and into an abandoned warehouse proved to be very difficult for us. Yeah, and you know, it's dealing with language barrier and you know, two different cultural perspectives having opinions on, you know, what the world's first giant fighting robot duel should look like. And so you know, there's a number of complications to work through, but I'm really pleased with the result. A ton of people watched this and tuned in, so we're ecstatic about the success of the event. We get pictures all the time about people that tuned in and had a watch party. You know, people sitting around the living room, you know, having some drinks, watching giant robots battle. I can't think of a better pastime. Well,
and not only that, I mean, the event that you put together, I really got a UFC vibe out of it, right? It was broadcast much like an Ultimate Fighting Championship event. You even went as far as to have veteran UFC commentator Mike Goldberg emceeing the show. Battle is one thing, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. I think this is the like pinnacle battle at the end of the event. But TV is something entirely different. How challenging was the process of making this event that we really haven't seen anything of this scale done before, making it an engaging viewing experience on the screen?
Yeah, so you know, these are prototype robots. They're like the first piloted combat robots, you know, humanoid robots that have really ever been created that can perform like this. And so, you know, the first fight, we chose to pre-record it because there's just so many unknowns. We really didn't know what was going to happen from a safety perspective, and so you know, the fight was actually filmed over a number of days. You know, each round was kind of a different day, and we had to repair the robots kind of between and kind of get set up and reset the battleground and stuff like that. So the goal here really is to give people kind of an MVP, so to speak, minimum viable product on like what giant fighting robots could look like. Kind of give them that vision of like, you know, there's commentators there, just like epic damage happening, roaring engines. It's to kind of guide people's imagination on like what this could be. You know, imagine that in front of 60,000 people in a stadium.
So I noticed behind you, there looks to be a poster for maybe the California safety rules. And I'm wondering, does that apply to the robots? Like, do they also get rights? Is that what that is?
You know, the robots get no rights. You know, we just kind of we just tell them what needs to be done, and they do it. So they're kind of, the robots, I would say, are probably our worst treated employees here at Megabots.
Okay. So follow-up question: 20 years from now, when the robots are ruling the world, how do you think they'll look back at this interview and think of you?
Yeah, not kindly. I'm just banking on being one of the few people who start the robot apocalypse, and so I'm going to know where the kill switch is.
Okay.
So you know, by kind of being the first, you take on a little bit of risk, but you can also kind of guide how that happens. So I don't know. We'll see.
I do have to point out that one of the folks who helps us work on this show every week, Burke, is a big fan of anything chainsaw arm. And so I think he's saying chainsaw arm for the win. Finally, there's a story in the show that actually has a chainsaw arm because one of the final robots, basically disassembled the other robot in the battle with a chainsaw arm. Pretty impressive. What about safety here? I mean, bodily injury concerns. The people that created these things are inside operating them. How did that go?
Yeah, you know, the cockpits of the robots are actually pretty well armored. And so we specifically looked at all of the weapons we were bringing to the fight. And each team, beforehand kind of decided on like, okay, there aren't going to be any flamethrowers. There aren't going to be any like huge spike lances that like just drive straight through armor. We wanted to keep, we designed the robots and the weapon systems to sort of give people a compelling and engaging fight without putting the pilots in danger too much. So we're not trying to kill people here. We're trying to give people an entertaining sport, and I think we did a really good job doing that.
Yeah.
What about autonomous robots? Is that something you're working on?
That is, that's pretty far off. I think we like the idea of having people inside the robots. It just adds that kind of element of excitement and danger, and what is the pilot experiencing, and you're kind of thinking about what it's like to be a robot pilot. So we really like that aspect of it. Autonomous robots that can fight and look awesome are pretty far off right now. And I think even if you ask a roboticist, they would probably even say that what we're piloting are not even robots; they're armored vehicles. And so, we thought long and hard about like, what are we actually going to call these things? But we decided that culturally, like maybe, a purist roboticist would say that's not a robot, but culturally we do think they're robots. Like if you put a person in front of it and you go, what is that big thing in front of you? They'll probably go, oh, well, that's a robot. No one would go, oh, that's an armored vehicle. So that's why we chose to call it giant fighting robots.
So I know that in Japan, there's a different idea, a different culture around robots. It's more acceptable than in some ways than it is in the United States. But people were really into this. What do you think our fascination here in the United States is with giant fighting robots? Why are we so fascinated by them?
Yeah, I think for this particular event, it's really the story, this nation on nation competition that really drove this, to kind of the mass market appeal that it had. But definitely I grew up, playing video games. Mech Warrior was a big one that I played. But, we still had, Power Rangers as kids, the Megazord. We have Transformers, very popular in America. So, I think there's, it's not as embedded in the culture as it is perhaps in Japan, but I think there's still a significant amount of exposure to it in a lot of people's childhoods here in America.
So big time props for making this happen. It's been a long time coming, and I know people have been waiting, definitely, I mean, literally a few years now to kind of see the end result. What is next? I have to imagine this isn't the one and only battle. Is there another one that you're already working on down the line, or what do you think is going to happen?
This is not the end. Our next steps are to, we had the prototype battle, and the next steps are to blow this up into an entire sports league. So we want, many teams creating their robots. You can follow their social media, see what they're doing. They all come together in one big tournament. That's really what we're working towards next. But hope, many we'll have some battles along the way. Hopefully, I know there's a couple robots in China that are looking to fight us. And other countries around the world that have expressed some interest. So hopefully we can maybe have some of those fights along the way.
Yeah, and we are at the beginning stages of this new genre, which you are bringing to the surface. So thank you for that. Matt Oehrlein is the co-founder of Megabots. Go to megabots.com if you want to find out more, and you can find the full, I think it's the full broadcast. I was watching it on YouTube, so it's pretty easily accessible. But thank you for doing this. Where do you want people to follow you online if they want to keep tabs on you?
Facebook, Instagram, Megabots Inc. is our handle there. On Twitter, our handle is Megabots. They can go to the website, and all the links are there on the website, megabots.com. There's a mailing list, tons of places you can follow us. We have a Twitch channel, Megabots Inc. Pick your social media of choice.
Right on. Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt, and congratulations.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, take care.